Laredo, take us out.
Take her out.
All right. Every Friday night, join the fun and let's go OffWorld. Geek out with us live, where the nerdiness will thrive. Buckle up and let's go OffWorld. Toys, comics, pop culture news, movies, and so much more. Matthew, Jesse, Curtis, and Sean are your guides on this fun-filled tour. Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go OffWorld. Let's go OffWorld. Let's go OffWorld. Hey, hey, hey. Let's go OffWorld tonight.
Woo-hoo and choo-choo. It is Wednesday. It's an after party. Joe, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. And you know why, Curtis?
Why is that?
It's time to kick the ale barrels and light the campfires, because this is the off-world after party, baby. Hell yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, getting some accessories. All right. Well, we got a lot of folks with us. The reveal special just ended over on Four Horsemen Studios YouTube channel. We got a lot of folks already lining up to jump in and talk with us, including a bunch of off-world alum. So first, we'll bring him to the stage. He's the man that makes the thumbnails possible, the guy that brings us to life in new and interesting ways every week. It is Jeff Ray Evans. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
Party on, Curtis. Party on, Joe.
I had to bring you on first because I know that's very important to you. So
thank you. Thank you. You listen. You listen to me.
No problem.
Thank you, brother.
Next, he is the star of the new Off-World with 100% more rage. He is Blake, aka Recon Rage. What's up, sir? How you doing?
What up? Good night, good evening, and let's get this party rolling.
There you go. You know this furry poop flinging, hair slinging guy. He was excited, I guarantee, by the last couple of reveals. We got Dylan in the house. What's up, Dylan?
What up? What up?
How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man.
Awesome. Next, we got another off-world gentleman. His tribute is much taller than mine. It is Craig, formerly of the Brute Scale. Craig, how you doing, sir?
What's up, man? Congratulations, man. Welcome to the club.
Thank you. I especially feel welcome when the Joe camera's on and my figure's leg fell off and he fell over. I was like, wow, that is very Greg-like. So
welcome to the club.
Oof.
Oof. And lowercase letters.
Exactly. Next, the master of all things dios, whether it's stables or tables or anything in between. You've got Drunk Gizmo Customs, Alexander Deshaw.
What's up, everyone? I'm all right. How are you?
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, he has a lair. He's a little bit of a dork. You could call it his dork lair. It is Bill Dranowski. Bill, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, doing good. We should probably just mention that Jesse couldn't make it, unfortunately. He was pretty run down and sick, so hopefully you feel better soon, Jesse.
He was supposed to be running things tonight. He's getting some rest right now. He was very excited about the little furry creature, though. We can tell you that.
I'm sure he was.
Yeah. Next, the man with all the awesome photography that we saw tonight. He was doing some fire, man. There was a lot of great stuff. Trevor Williams here with us. What's up, Trevor?
What's up, guys? We're also simulcasting on Legion's Lounge if you're watching us there.
That's true. And Trevor's got a slideshow for us, which is awesome. So thank you.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
But before we get to the slideshow, we got one more person to bring to the screen. You just saw him over on the other channel, finishing the reveal special. We got Jeremy Gerard with us. Jeremy, how you doing?
Everyone?
up, Jeremy?
Hey, Curtis, I'm going to give you a hug. I'm going to give you a hug through the computer.
Thank you, sir. I was definitely blown away. I couldn't even say anything in the chat because I was just, speechless. So,
that was, dude, we had a werewolf to reveal in this wave. And the thing I was excited about the most was being able to go through my little spiel about Curtis being the heart of this community. Like, that was my favorite part, man. Congratulations. So well deserved. And like I said during the reveal, there are opportunities like this to present itself. When we knew we were going to do a gnome, Eric designed it. He did all of that. We didn't at the front say, oh, we're going to name this after Curtis. But as I was thinking about the character and I was writing the story, I was like, oh, I'm going to make this character like the leader of this little town. He's the mayor. And then everything just kind of fell into place to be like, oh, this little guy kind of comes in, he gets involved in everyone's business. And before you know it, he is running the show. He's running the show. I was like, that's Curtis. That is Curtis right there. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we were actually
Einsamall.
We were actually in StreamYard before we started the show, and we were watching it live together. And I'm just sitting here, and so I got Trevor and Jesse and all these guys over here, and I'm like, don't cry. And then you read the story, and I'm like, dude, yeah, I was wiping my eyes. That was for sure.
So ironically, that figure gave me the least trouble of any of the figures. So
that is ironic.
It's very ironic.
Here, hold on. Let me turn off my camera for a second.
Pain in my ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was last year, Curtis. That was last year.
No. So, Curtis, was there a moment? I mean, obviously, before all the stuff, the tribute to you and everything, just when I introduced, new races and new figure scales, and I mentioned going smaller, did you see the writing on the wall that you were finally getting your gnome?
I thought that I was getting a gnome. I did not know that it was going to be a tribute. In fact, all the way up until you read the bio, I didn't know that it was going to be a tribute. I was just excited that we were getting gnomes. And then, when we saw the size comparison, I was like, dude, this is so awesome.
They're small.
This is the best. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was over the moon. So
awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And is that a little oversized, the prototype?
Yeah, it's 104%. So
yeah, so
even comparing it to the Halvard figure, like I did on screen, because Halvard has the new head, but the body is all existing tooling. So the body on Halvard is 100%. That's normal production parts, but all of the prototype stuff is a little bigger. And when you 104% of the big guy, it doesn't end up being that much different. But when it's so small to begin with, any reduction ends up feeling significant. So as small as it looks, it's going to be a little bit smaller.
Very cool. Yeah. I don't know. Do we want to just get into? Well, I guess Jeremy, because I don't know how much time you've got. Anything as far as just how it was received in the chat and any initial thoughts on just the reveal special itself?
So, I mean, it seems super positive. Reveal specials are always interesting for me because I can't keep up with the comments, on social media. I spend a lot of time looking at our Instagram page. Unfortunately, part of my job is reading the comments, which it's brutal out there sometimes, but I like to read all those and answer those questions and provide whatever information is possible. But whenever we do a reveal special, there's so much revealed in so many comments, and I'm on screen that I can't do that. So it's not until I'm able to log off and sit back do I really get to start seeing that reaction in full. But what I saw in the chat was very, very positive. And I don't want to say that it was expected, but this is what we were hoping for. We wanted, we're very deliberate in how we roll these out, starting with two figures that are repainty type figures. You know, it's a Viking, it's a female knight, super cool figures, but they're ideas that we've seen in the line previously. To go from that to a brand new scale and new races and the first Dio kind of pack for Mythic Legions, and then of course the werewolf, we knew that people, or we were hoping people were going to sit back and say like, this is a mid-year wave. Like this is what used to be an All-Stars wave. I saw Wyatt in the comments at the end of the chat say, All-Stars walked so or the Horror of Einsamall could run. And, you know, that is what we're excited about is we wanted to add all these new pieces to really get that wow factor into this particular wave. And based on the reactions, it seems like we did. But, dude, I mean, I've got some of the most diehard Legionnaires there are in the screen right now. I'd love you to start going through these figures so you can talk about your impressions of them. And I'd love to hang out for a while and answer any questions along the way.
Absolutely.
Can I just say,
yeah, I know. Well, go ahead, Bill.
Can I just say one thing about the stream? It was very narrative focused, and your delivery was just excellent in terms of like kind of just like walking us through the story from the beginning to, you know, the not even conclusion, but this like expected continuation. And I felt like it was one of the best in terms of storytelling on the stream.
Thank you. And that was what the goal was. So the fact that it came across successfully makes me so happy. You know, I wrote the full story, and the idea was like, okay, this is the story. These are how these characters interact. This is why we're meeting Halvard first and Igraine second. So to be able to present it in that way alongside the story, it's something we've never had a wave like this that's so like specific to a story. And that's what we were going for. You know, at the beginning of this, Eric and I were talking about what we wanted this to be. And the idea of doing kind of a horror story was really exciting to us. You know, drawing on things like, classic literature like Grendel, which is inspiring things like I saw people saying, oh, this reminds me of 13th Warrior. 13th Warrior is very much based on Grendel. So all of these type of stuff, classic werewolf stories, these are all things that we kind of put into that mix to tell our version of this story and roll it out the way we did.
Super cool.
Very cool. Well, I know we've got a slideshow from Trevor that we're going to roll through, but I'll just say, like, as you know, we were watching, there was a handful of us in the stream just kind of watching as you guys were revealing it. And I don't think there was one figure that we weren't blown away by. Like even the ones that you're talking about, like the two earlier figures that have a lot of repaint. I mean, the soft goods on them, fantastic. The head sculpt and the paint job on that female is amazing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we were blown away by every single thing that was revealed.
Even though those have less new parts than some other figures, like we even said, we were like, these are going to be certain fans' favorite figures. Like there are certain people that is going to be their absolute favorite figure in this wave, regardless of the fact that it doesn't have a whole lot of new parts in there.
For sure. All right. Well, Trevor, I will just pull this up if you want to just kind of just walk us through this, I guess.
Yeah, well, starting from the top, right? We had Halvard, amazing looking figure. Love these soft goods, man. I love these soft goods and the belt and everything. This guy's total Viking, and well, you know my lore about him and Brodor, but I won't bring that up here.
Chilling.
Yeah. God, I love that axe, man. That axe is fantastic. So that's the new. So the new shield system works really well. I was telling people, Jeremy, in our background chat, that it really works really well with the big shields. It really helps, with some of those big faction shields to not, kind of take control when they're on the arm as much as they did. It works well here too. But what is going on with my picture? That's a little weird. Anyway, just noticing things. Yeah, it's cool. I think people are going to dig that for sure.
I just noticed there's two neck pegs. Is that to raise the helmet?
Shorter or longer? Yeah, right. for the
Yeah, it's because when we're testing it at the studio, the head that has the chainmail face in front, it hangs down a little lower, and it didn't look right with the neck peg that the normal head looked right with. So we included 2 different neck pegs that are slightly different, like heights, to get the look that you want for both of them.
Awesome.
And it's always good to just get extra neck pegs. Like they're so useful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No one's going to
especially the hinged ones. Those are really useful.
Yep.
Love these boots. Yeah, this cape is great.
I have a little story to tell about this type of upper torso cloth goods. So I had posted, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago in the Cabal asking, like, if any of the customizers do this style where it's like cinched around the waist with an elastic, and nobody is willing to do it. It's like really difficult to do. And so like there was literally nobody was willing to do a custom one except for CJ. Like, so like these are really special. These are really unique types of custom cloth goods. I mean, not custom, but like these are factory custom, but like these are really unique style of cloth goods that you really won't be able to find anywhere else. And I love the way they fit and sit on the figures. I think these are like the best.
Definitely.
The stitching in that skirt is amazing. Like just the fact that he got that kind of intricacy, and then that can be replicated for the price again. I always say that about his soft goods. They're incredibly well designed, and then it's amazing that they can get replicated to the degree that they do. That's really amazing.
Yeah, and the color palette throughout all of these figures, starting with this one, I think is really perfect for the storyline where it's being hosted in Mythos.
Well, and the other thing is like if you were to just buy these soft goods from anybody, whether it's CJ or anybody else, if you were just to buy these soft goods, you would pay more than what you're paying for this figure for the soft.
Oh, from CJ, you'd pay a lot more. Like anybody though, like even on
anybody,
even on eBay, it would be $40. You know, just for
right. So that's what I'm saying. Like it illustrates the value of the figure itself, that you're getting. Really nice. This figure, all the extra parts, the shield, the armor, everything, and the soft goods. It's just it's such a great value.
Jeremy, do we know if the tail, the ponytail is going to be just plug in and movable the way, like here it was kind of like I was able to swing it out. It's not going to be glued in, right? Or is it? Do we know?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Okay. I think that's absolutely one of those things that the factory will figure out how the engineering of that's going to go.
You should make it compatible with the boom boom hole, and then you can make it a tail.
Yeah, that'll work somewhere.
Nice weird braided tail coming out of it.
Hey,
totally.
You don't know.
Sure.
Somebody expected it to actually look like faux hair, like actual hair.
Yeah, my vote is for not gluing it in, because it'd be great to be able to move it.
Yeah,
I mean, not that you couldn't just loosen it, but it does work really well to like swing it back and forth when he's running and stuff. It's cool. Yeah, you got this head.
That first head that you just had on there, like that might be top 5 head sculpt for me in the line.
Yeah, I love this head sculpt.
Yeah. That's so good.
I like the scars.
Yeah,
and that's a new one. So the other head sculpt that has the chainmail, that Eric sculpted that during the Rising Sun sessions. So this was at the same times that he sculpted Broder and everything. So we had this kind of in reserve. And when we started talking about this particular wave, what we were trying to do with this was add some brand new parts that need to be tooled, but minimize the new tooling. Because minimizing the amount of new tooling will hopefully allow us to get this into fans' hands a little bit quicker. So we knew we were doing a new scale in the imp scale. So we said, okay, for the other stuff, let's look at what we can make use of with our existing library, but maybe add some new heads. So we had this head. We were like, you know what? Let's do another Viking character. Broder was so popular, but Eric didn't just want to do this head. One thing that's been requested from us for years is if you do a helmeted head, also do an unhelmeted head for that character. It's something that he's certainly taken to heart, and you've seen us doing it in recent waves. So both with Halvard and with Igraine, that's why he did that. In the case of Igraine, both of those heads were brand new sculpted for this wave. In the case of Halvard, he had this one, and then he sculpted that new head to be what the unhelmeted look would be.
Nice.
Awesome.
Cool pack out.
And I'm happy we got a drinking horn.
Yeah.
That's an awesome piece.
That's coming with the dwarves too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the Rising Suns set. I mean, that axe and that drinking horn and that shield, they're all part of the Rising Suns stuff, which, I don't know if you guys caught me say this, but, the first time we've announced this publicly, Rising Suns has started production.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Woo! That's awesome.
Great.
Be playing with some Bodvar by Christmas.
Absolutely.
Give him a Coke.
In your hands.
Oh, no, that's the polar bear.
Yeah. Then we got Commander Igraine, which is a really cool sculpt. I love this. I love this portrait. She looks.
Yeah.
It almost has an anime look, but she looks very young. I mean, like she just looks like she's like barely 20 years old or something like that. So she's kind of like
this is my favorite figure in the wave.
Yeah, this was Clouds
big
too.
Fan of Aetheron, and it makes me glad that there's no Instagram in Mythos. Otherwise, she might have chosen another career path.
You mean the OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
Oh, jeez.
Only Mythics.
Weird. Weird. This is
you mentioned that she looks young, and that's something that we tried to bring. Yeah, and we tried to bring that into the bio where she's a newer Knight of Aetheros and everything. We tried to reflect the fact that she would be a younger character.
Yep.
I think it's great. Yeah, it just definitely touches upon the demographic spread within Mythos now, and to have a young warrior like that, I think is a really awesome addition.
Yeah, I like the colors on this too. This is really cool. It's gonna fit right in with that group. The thing, and I talked about this with you, I guess, but the thing down by her helmeted head is a little
clasp,
kind of like a brooch. Oh, is it a clasp? Is that what we're calling it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that on the Dwarf 2-pack from the Rising Suns wave. Kind of meant to go like on the front of her fur to add a little decorative piece, but as you're showing it here, it looks totally fine without it.
Yeah, and it was difficult to get in there, so I think it's prototype stuff, so it was tricky to get in there. I don't know
the layering on this figure is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Eric addressed that, having more of that kind of like traveling knight type look. We've seen a lot of people in, the group and the community do customs of that style. Dennis has done it. Quinn Law does it all the time. That's a really cool look that, many people do, not just those two, but that's one of the things he wanted to bring into this build here. And, like you mentioned, Bill, that the layering of the different armor and cloth pieces really adds to that.
Yeah. I love it. Alternate look. She was a little, as I said earlier, she was a little difficult to pose, to hold. And that, as with all the prototypes, these hammers are super heavy and the wrists are super weak. So, but she looks cool, man. I like this head too a lot. This is a really cool head option.
Is this the first time for those pauldrons?
Yeah, I think
nope. So. Those are actually from the Rising Suns Dwarf pack as well.
The Dwarf pack, Okay, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I really like the color of this.
Is that a new sword?
That is the sword that was first introduced with the Legacy's Otho figure. The Legacy's Otho figure has a different, with a pommel at the end. It's got a lion head for the Otho one. But we reused that broadsword with Sir Benegar, and now we're seeing it with her as well.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, the fire comes out?
What's up?
Fire. Does that fire come out of the...
You know what? I think it's going to come out, but I can't say for sure because that I haven't seen the production piece of that yet, also introduced in Rising Suns. I think the goal was that it's going to come out, but until I see the final one, I don't know. That's one of the reasons why we didn't advertise it as being removable, because that still remains to be seen.
Carver Customs Kit Mash to light that up coming soon. And then we got, who's this guy again? Chris?
Little Curtis.
It's the heart of the community.
Burris.
I'm sorry, man. You're probably going to get just as much crap for this as you are going to get praise, so I apologize in advance.
I'm totally fine with it. I have no problem.
I will tell you that I did text Pete earlier today, and he said good luck tonight. And I said, yeah, I hope you give me. I think he wanted a Yeti, and he said, I hope you give me a Yeti. And I said, well, I'll give you something better. I'll give you some comedy gold content that you can build off of. So I think I just armed him.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
And just want to point out that along with the Wolfsbane Lager tip-off, I put the little, he's not a wolf, but he's a little wolfy dog up there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Cool.
And this, Jeremy, this is like what? Something you put out with Wolf King like a while ago?
Yeah, I drew that. So that's like a weird demon type skull with some chains on it.
It was supposed to fit an ogre scale figure.
Yeah, it
right?
fits an ogre scale. I drew that. I sketched that a few years ago, and Tristan from Immortal Collection sculpted it. Originally, it was printed by Noble Bear, and we used to sell it at Legion Shop.
Right. That's where I bought it from. Yep.
Yeah, when Legion Shop closed, all of the Legion Shop products went over to Wolf King, so it's now available at Wolf King. But yeah, that's what that is.
It makes a nice wall piece. I'll say
Sure.
that. It's really cool.
Sure.
Very nice.
Yeah, so there's the pack out for him.
I just love like that last shot that we got with the whole wave, just the whole size difference across it. Like
I got that at the end.
Even this figure and the other one with the fox head, I guess.
Yep.
Like even they look different sizes because of the height of the head, I guess, and stuff.
Yeah, the head's a little taller. Yep.
Yep.
He's got a little neck piece underneath him, and he's down on his shoulders. Now the hat comes off on the prototype, but it also has a notch to hold it in place. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be
I
glued.
think the hat's going to be kind of like
Glued.
Swig's hat or whatever, where
Yeah,
not Swig's hood or Snag's hat, where it's not meant to be removable.
But it will be removable if you want. And he looks good bald, I have to say. It looks pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it's a separate piece. It's going to have to be a separate piece in the actual tool that they'll put on. So anybody who's got a little, ingenuity to pull it off will be able to do that.
Little heat.
Yep.
Yeah, he's cool. He was pretty good poser, I gotta say. It wasn't too bad. Those knees were a little sus every once in a while, but he was good.
And I love the fact that, Joe showed this, but, when Eric's doing these mugs, the fact that he made the foam like a little pop-in piece so you can display it, either before or after Burris serves it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple of people have done. I think Planetary Dog Toys had some mugs, but it was either you get it with the foam or you get it without the foam. So you had to have a couple of different ones. But that's cool that it just pops in there. It's nice idea.
So is there going to be a part of the story where Burris meets Frothmere and gets excited about his name? He's like, "Here's a frothy beer for Frothmere," or something like that.
Names a new beer after him, a new ale.
Yeah, we'll see.
This is my first favorite goblin, by the way.
It's
sold on
funny.
goblins now.
I put up a post today, like, "Hey, let's hear your predictions," and I just was trying to come up with ideas, like off the top of my head for like, what, like quick thing, like, is it going to be a werewolf? Is it going to be this or that? And I threw Frost Goblin in there just randomly, and here's a Frost Goblin.
There you go. Oh, that's right. I saw your post. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
It's cool too because his skin color not only matches the Tundra Orc, but it also matches really well with the Frost Ogre from the Ashes of Agbendor wave. Even right there, you've got kind of a cool trio of different sizes. But yeah, throwing this head, we love to include those second heads. So we only had the one head for the gnome that we were going to include. That's not to say we only have one gnome head. It just was the only one we were going to include now. So we wanted to put something else in there, and we said, well, let's throw our goblin in. And Thump's head has always been a little bit smaller than some of the other goblins, and it just worked really, really well on this particular body.
Nice. Perfect.
The barrel is awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a really hard conversation because, like Eric mentioned, when at the time I was a fan, but I remember those conversations from that first Kickstarter, people saying like, why am I paying full price for a dwarf? It's half the figure. And it's just not true. Like when you look at the price of some of these figures, take a dwarf like Bromden Ironjaw. That dwarf costs more per unit than a lot of full-size figures because it's got the paint and the extra pieces and everything.
Yeah.
So size alone doesn't dictate the price. Horsemen have said before that one of the reasons they went from 4-inch to 7-inch was because the price difference was negligible. And
it's not the amount of plastic you're using.
No,
it's the amount of detail that you're putting into these things and how tough they are to paint and
amount
everything
of
else.
parts, amount of complexity.
Amount of parts, complexity.
That is what factors in. So how do you release a figure that's that size and not have for a standard price? Because that's what it's going to be, because our prices are, what we charge is dictated by what our costs are. That's the way it works. So knowing that this is going to be just as expensive as a regular standard figure, how do we have that perceived value? So putting in these diorama-centric items, that barrel is going to be hollow. So it's going to be, not as expensive for us to do. The paint apps, while nicely detailed, they're actually not the hardest ones to achieve with some washes and dry brushing. So the cost on that, it adds a lot of perceived value, but not a lot of ultimate cost to put in those diorama items.
I can't wait for somebody to turn that barrel into an outfit for him. Feet sticking out,
dude. He can fit in. He can fit in the barrel. Let alone
after all of the after the werewolf kills all his customers and he goes out of business and ends up
with like straps over the top of him, like the old
right.
It's probably bigger than he is, but using a dwarf, that like classic like look of like the barrel with the suspenders, the guy who's going to go over the falls in it or something. I cannot wait to see someone do that.
I also want to
see classic cartoon of somebody lost everything and they're poor now.
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, I also want to see someone do like turn that barrel into turn it on its side, put some wheels on it, cut a hole in the top, and make it a vehicle for a goblin.
On the special, Joe had taken the hat off of that first head, and then Trevor was in here and he said that there's like a peg that holds it in there. Is there a reason why it's just not like a bald head like Bromden with something that just fits on top? Like, do you feel like it needed to be locked in?
Honestly, Curtis, I don't know that answer. That was a decision that Eric made. Again, it was printed separately, so it could be a flexible. That was printed to be a separate flexible piece. But the idea wasn't that it was going to be like a removable hat, largely because the removable hats, if they don't key them in, they tend to not fit super, super well. So the idea was that he was going to have that on, but who knows what happens when it gets to the factory. They might be able to do something cool where he could not have the key or something and it still fits well. That's the type of stuff that we get to figure out in the pre-production process.
It seems to fit, it seems like it would sit there well, but there's a lot of those things it's just like it's going to fall off if you tilt it one way or the other, you know what I mean? But I mean, this one seems to fit well. It would be cool if they could do it without the key because he does look interesting without that.
I think probably the closest comparison would be Lee J. Like Lee J's, the best you could probably get would be like Lee J's helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I would worry about, because like normally if it has a key, it usually gets glued down. So then it's That would be the problem. But
you could unblue it. I mean, it would be cool to have a bald version of it.
Oh, trust me, I know you can blue it.
Oh, I know you will. You'll be taking it. Sure.
I know
well,
you'll
be putting a top knot on it, and it'll be.
So I guess
Ben K. Hang on, Ben K. is. I've been holding on this comment. Are we seeing an articulated neck because it originally comes with a original knot? No, they're both articulated necks. I think everything's pretty much coming with the hinged necks now from now on. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like it. It's just like that's the extra one that comes for the goblin head. If you want to put the goblin head, that's why it's in there. But they're both hinged necks. They're both hinged necks.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's got a lot of range of motion on his head. It's good. It's really good.
Do we happen to know for reasons? Do we happen to know who painted this figure?
Cameron.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Can we get just because I have to give Curtis a little bit of a hard time? You think we could get a version with a brown nose instead of a red one?
First customizing I'm going to do to it.
Yeah, you just take the Torgon head and put on it, and then you'll be fine.
So, Curtis, any chance we'll see a change in facial hairstyle down the road now to mimic your tribute?
No, I was told that when I listen, if Darla told me to shave or not shave, I wouldn't be so worried about it. But Trevor told me when he kisses me at Legion's Con, it kind of makes him itchy when he kisses my
rough.
face, and I've got the facial hair there.
Nice.
So I shave all year long now just for Trevor. So
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
yeah.
That's so sweet.
Being that this is your tribute figure, though, I would assume that he would not just stop at one inn, but he would eventually make his way into like every inn in many towns.
People that are trying to run
those taverns.
Yeah, people that are trying to run their own inn, and I just come in and just
he just comes in and starts serving drinks. And,
Would you say he's inevitable?
Oh, okay, all right, that's fine. All right, moving on. Also, Jeremy, my favorite shot that I took. This takes me back to product shot days. Like it was kind of fun to take this shot. Honestly, it was fun. And
So fun little
good. It looks like real. Like it looks really good. Like,
fun little note here on that. So that logo, we knew we wanted to do a logo. I designed that Einsamall logo that's on that pub. That was designed at 4:45 in the morning in the Providence airport while I was getting on a plane going to Augusta for Joe Fest 2 weeks ago. So did that. And underneath, it's got the Einsamall Public House logo, and it's got Wolfsbane Lager, which is that particular brew, and then it says batch 430. Does anyone know why it's batch 430?
Because you drew it at 4:30 in the morning.
4:30 in the morning.
No idea.
4:20.
That's a good guess that it was 4:30 in the morning. It wasn't.
Is 4:30 the date that you got full time at the studio?
So it's the 4th reveal in the 30th wave of Mythic Legions.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Little fun Easter egg there.
Cool.
Nice.
I love that.
That was my next guess. That was my next guess. Yeah.
So, Trevor, I know we've talked before about the sets like this in Cosmic, and just as a photographer, like what it means to have stuff like this that you can put in with other lines and just add to your photography and stuff. So, with a set like this, like what other toy lines do you see where photographers would be grabbing this to throw it in with?
Other lines to have this with them?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of other
fantasy
I was trying to come up with some sort of clever, fantasy realm
Mystic
stuff.
Legends.
Ray, Mystic Legends. A certain Savage line. There's a lot of. I think there's going to be a lot of people. I think this even works as a. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It can be an old timey pub that you could have the Avengers sitting in. You know what I mean? Like it could be
like this is all stuff.
What do you call that? Medieval times or something like that. You know what I mean?
You could have all this stuff in it. I mean, maybe not the pickaxe,
sausages,
but
the apples,
everything else in a modern kitchen.
The grapes,
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can finally reinterpret the Furious 4 pick
There you go.
So somebody I noticed in the and it's always somebody in one of the comments on the Four Horsemen was like, I wish it came with the table and chairs. That would have been cool. Like, and I'm like, yeah, well, okay, that would have been great, but like, you can't get these tables though from Insightful Imagery. Mike makes these things and they're fantastic, and he'll be at Legions Con, I believe. So if you want a table,
I really like this this comment here by Crown 316. Curtis will now be in every Cabal member's house. He truly will be everywhere.
Oh no!
No say.
Oops, I didn't mean to
One
do that.
for every room in the house.
You know, that story about George requesting sausages, that's 100% true.
I'm sure that's true.
It originally didn't have sausages, and he asked Eric, can you add some sausages? And he did it as a joke. And like the next day, I'm on a design call with Eric and we're going over stuff, and he's showing me the renders and he shows me the sausages. And I was like, oh, you actually sculpted George's sausages. George literally didn't think he was going to do it. He thought he was just kidding. So when George saw that he sculpted sausages, he was like, he fell out of his chair almost laughing because it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm really going to have to get that bread painted up for next year's Legions Con.
Oh man, there's so many PGG musicals that are going to happen now.
Right? What happened to him? What? I don't know what's going on. There we go. Okay. Do you want to tell the story about this name, or no? You don't want to go into that, Jeremy? I don't know if you want to.
Oh, it's fine. So the character's original name was Jokul. And
I love that.
Well, it's a version of the Norse word for a jagged piece of ice. Jokul, Jokul, is the name for a jagged piece of ice. So that's where his original name came from. And then we're on a call with the studio, and George, because he hates fun.
Yeah.
He says, hey, Jeremy, how do you say that character's name? And I said, Joe Cool. And he said, so he's Joe Cool. He's Joe Cool, like
Batman's parents.
Peanuts character. And I genuinely didn't, I had not heard it until that moment. And I was just like, you son of a bitch.
That was my favorite version of Snoopy.
I liked it even better.
Joe Camel.
Joe Chill killed the wings.
I'm still
yeah, that's what I Joe Chill.
So we changed his name to sound more like Jackal as opposed to Joe Cool.
Jackal.
Thanks, George.
Yeah. There you go.
These pauldrons are massive. It was hard to find a chair that he would sit in, but I finally got him in this one. I figured he lived in like a cave. Like that's what I was kind of picturing. Oh, he does. Yeah, we talked about that, right? Actually,
he does live in a cave.
Are these a version of the Tharnog pauldrons?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
They just look different because it's got the horns in the back. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, just instead of the like moose style antlers coming out the back, they've just had the other horns plugged in. And I mean, they're totally removable, so you could pull those out too.
Let's break down this.
It made it where I was like questioning myself on whether that was a reused part or not. So,
So let's break down this body a little bit. There's some new. Is he supposed to be like? Is he like blind, or what is his deal with the or we just don't know. He's just got iron over his eyes, like he's kind of badass.
Yeah, he's not meant to be blind.
Okay. I thought it was just kind of cool that he could kind of see without even seeing, like a Daredevil thing. But the body now, we've got the cut torso, we've got double jointed elbows, and we've got, so Joe didn't really go over it, but so we got the butterfly joints you can see in that shot.
That's the best shot.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
yep.
He's also got a new neck peg, right? So what's the deal with that neck peg? Is that I didn't really get a chance to play with that. I just kind of, when I took this off to pop the new head out, I was like, oh, what is that?
Eric's been on a tier that as soon as he designs a better neck peg, he apparently is immediately unhappy with it. He has to go back and design another neck peg.
Yeah.
Because he keeps just redesigning the neck pegs. But yeah, it's got a different style neck peg that's going to apparently allow for even greater range of motion and movement.
On the solid torso body with the neck connected, that's where this will be, right? And
so instead of the neck being like fully integrated, it's got more of like a
I do like that. Yeah,
it's like a barbell that's going to.
Will is that barbell removable or is that integrated into the body? Do we know?
Again, it's still a pre-production piece, so it's premature to answer that until we see the production.
Gotcha. But it does allow for some nice movement on this body for sure.
Yep. And these figures, we talked about this during Reign of the Beasts when the 3.0 articulation was introduced. Like, I was ready to die on that hill that we do not need double elbows and knees. I love the articulation we have, but we absolutely had to try this. Like, we had to do this. Yes, we added new range of motion, to the knights and everything. And, Bill, you've done a great job of showing the ability to hit these certain poses without those double joints. But there are figure fans that are not buying our stuff because they are so focused on this, double joints, the double knees and double elbows. So it was something that Eric very much wanted to say, like, hey, how do we do this and still make it a figure? I'm, in that camp of I loved what we had, but I can't wait to see what these are going to look like in hand, what they're going to feel like. The prototypes that we've gotten so far of double joints have been really, really good and a ton of fun to play with. So I think anybody that's a little on the fence with the double joints, wait until these things land in hand before you render that full judgment, because these are going to feel like a Legions figure for sure.
And it adds variety to the line. It adds variety. Like, I think it's a good thing.
Well, I was definitely in the camp of, like, I didn't feel like we needed them, but I'm glad that you guys didn't make just a sweeping change across the board where everything fits, right? Like, you're picking and choosing the right moments that make sense for the characters.
Yes, and it's another tool in the toolbox that we can say, when does it make sense to use this? Even like looking at that imp scale, Eric added double knees, but the double arms did not work. They didn't feel like a Legions figure. So anytime that he integrates it, he wants this still to feel and look like a Legions figure.
Makes sense.
We did have a question here from Gluten Freestyle, asked about if this was brute scale, but no, it's basically the same height as a 1.0, right? But it's with the added articulation, basically.
Yeah, and it looks big because it's got like the big pauldrons and the big, antlers that go up on those kind of like wood style tree attachments in his helmet. But it is built on the 1.0 body. Now, Brute is compatible with 1.0, so you got a little bit of mixing and matching you could do there, but this is technically a 1.0 build.
Those antler, whatever, like those wood horns, are those is that new on this figure?
Yes, those are brand new.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about that weapon, that bone weapon? Is that new?
No, those two bone weapons are from the Cosmic Legion Thraxian figures.
Oh, really?
Right, that's right. That's right. This one came with that.
I knew the jawbone one. I didn't realize the other one was.
Yep. I forget which one. I mean, I think they might either the jawbone one comes with the Thraxian Scout and the other one comes with the Hunter, or vice versa, I think. But they're definitely Thraxian weapons.
Yeah, I think the jawbone came with the first one, I think.
Yeah, jawbone with the first one.
And then this is where I told Jesse to make sure he was seated.
Which, just one real quick comment. We made that announcement on the stream that Rising Suns has entered production. I just wanted to say, because we have Jeff on the screen here, Jeff, we got some Ox Crew Cosmic news coming pretty soon that's going to make people excited.
Nice.
Thank you.
It is also cool to see you mixing and matching some parts within the two lines. Like the fact that you're taking those weapons that you're saying are from the Thraxians and pulling them into Mythos is pretty neat.
For sure.
There's a couple things like that in this wave.
That's the best part.
And even just with Thraxians in general, like there's been crossover quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then
when
we got
when I saw the Thraxian pieces on Arden's scale, I was like, "Whoa, this is awesome!"
Yep.
Is it Byler Frostfur, right?
Yep. Byler Frostfur.
And as soon as you said the name, Jesse like plotzed. So Frostfur.
This is what made him sick.
It is.
I love that he's like a knight. Like he's like a little knight.
Oh, I say he was the mini Valiant Knight.
He's such a little badass, man.
Yeah.
The little feet are great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do we know, like, as far as the connector? I know you said on the hands that it's basically like feet, or do those plug into other lower legs that we already have?
So we're hoping that there's going to be some 2.0 compatibility. I know for a fact that the waist will not be 2.0 compatible because this doesn't have the like kind of peg style waist that 2.0 has. It has more of the ball style waist that 1.0 has. Our goal is that the pauldrons, the head, the arms, and hopefully even the feet and stuff will all be 2.0 compatible. But that is one of the things that remains to be seen. We've got to make sure that the sizing that the factory can do on it will work with 2.0. So that's the goal, but we can't guarantee that just yet.
Now, this torso, is this a 1.0 torso?
No,
Is this
it's totally new.
Okay, just because it looks like stylistically, it looks exactly like the Valiant Knight or one of those torsos. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's part of Eric's approach is that every single piece of armor shouldn't be totally unique. That there are the clothes that we wear are certain types of clothes. Like there are certain ways to make a t-shirt and stuff. There are certain armor designs that would be pretty prevalent. So that was kind of the thought here was that, the armor shares similarities with other armor we've seen, but it is a brand new part for the imp scale.
Yeah. It's got the aesthetics of what we've seen.
Got a question here. Agent Variant says it comes with both head sculpts shown here. Yeah, it has both of those head sculpts.
Yep, and the removable neck collar.
And then Daniel says, I adore this critter. 4-H tapped right into my brain.
Yeah, that seems like one he'd be excited for. I also love the fact that the two imp scales, we've got one dedicated to Curtis, and then we've got this one here that's got Jesse's favorite head. It's got the fuzz monk, which I call this version the frost monk. So I think that's pretty appropriate.
It's like shooting the shelf crew.
Yeah, when you showed this head, I was like, oh my gosh, did they do a Jesse too? Like we got the both shooting the shelf and then one. It was pretty cool.
Well, I'm gonna have to name this character unofficially after Jesse, kind of the way that I unofficially named like the brother Xavier. This isn't a named character; it's just meant to be a cool head that adds some variety, but when it's a character that's not official, I get to throw some of those fun names out there.
Yeah,
there you go.
Icy.
Brian Carr, $5 super chat. Congrats, Curtis. Can't wait to have you in my home. Congrats.
Careful what you wish for.
Somehow getting better with each wave. The new races are phenomenal. First off, I can't wait to be inside everybody's home. And also, I agree. Like this for a mid-year wave, this thing is just amazing. It definitely blew me away.
Second of all, Brian, I appreciate you putting the $5 super chat on my channel to congratulate Curtis.
OffWorld's not monetized.
Oh, Lord.
That's true.
Is it not? Okay.
No, OffWorld's not yet.
This fire set is awesome. This is
so if anybody's not subscribed, just throwing that out there. Curtis can't even get the $5.
Help them out. I'll give him the $5.
This is the only time anyone watches our show.
I'll buy him a beer.
Quiet. They don't know that.
Yeah, and I love this works really well. I mean, I know again, I was fully expecting that when I showed this, people are like, oh, does it light up? Like, no, it doesn't light up. But you get these little. They'll be just like the swig bottle. I'll put it up on the Cabal. Like you can get these little lights that you can pop into there, and
it's amazing though that it fits the tea
or the
light.
little candle. Yeah,
Yep.
the little
Joe showed it during the live stream. It fits perfectly under there, and Eric did that intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so I'm guessing since the Thistlethorn head went on there, and then you've also got the Thump one, I'm guessing any 2.0 head should work on this body.
Yeah, and vice versa. These are 2.0 heads. That is when I said I don't know what the compatibility is going to be yet. That's one piece of compatibility that we're pretty safe in saying, yeah, that'll work. It'll have that 2.0 neck bone.
I don't see him in the chat, but El Spooky Zorro, Rob Zamora is probably really happy tonight because he's going to be able to make his Fox slash Kitsune characters.
Yep.
Raziel, $5 super chat. We definitely need to see this Fox next to Thistlethorn and Snag because we didn't get him compared to 2.0 Goblin scale. So.
Yeah, Joe's going to take a bunch of photos. We're going to strip down the werewolf so you can see it without the armor on. Most of the armor comes off, so we'll show that. I think we'll probably show the orc on the polar bear, and then of course we'll show some more comparison pieces like this, including the figures next to goblins and so forth.
Desiker, we just asked that. Not sure yet on the swappability on the feet.
Might be the 2.0, but
hope so. Yeah.
And then we got Isbjorn, right?
Isbjorn, yep. Pretty I mean, a lot of people guessed this was going to happen. I mean, we knew so Hasbro recently released that 2-pack of Snake Eyes with the polar bear, and I saw all these people saying like, "Oh, I'm going to buy this to put with Mythic," and I had to bite my tongue.
I was the same thing. Yeah.
Don't wait. Please just wait.
You can have a baby.
You're going to get a Mythic polar bear.
Yeah, that can be the baby bear, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he looks great.
Rushing nesting bears.
I really like the swerve that he was the killer, but not the killer. That was a nice approach.
Good storytelling.
He's too sweet to be. Look at him. He's so cute.
I was gonna say he looks real nice.
Right?
Looks docile.
Let's go up to him like with those people. Do you see this? There's a video of people at like Yellowstone or something. They're just like a group of seniors, and they're all just walking up to this bear and they're putting their back to it and taking pictures. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? It's insane.
Watching too many cartoons.
It's because Bigfoot keeps vlogging and they think they can go up to animals now.
So, Curtis, are you going to say your comment
about
the wave? You being in the wave with the.
Oh yeah, I was saying that it was interesting that the tribute for me came out in the same wave as the Coca-Cola bear.
It's perfect.
I love that.
No, just need a little Coke bottle. So
yeah,
definitely need that.
He can sit him down and you can sit on his lap. You're small enough.
So the growling head, that was kind of a last minute
that was
thing?
a very last minute addition.
Okay, I like it though. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I like the colors on that saddle too. That looks really works really well with his color.
Trevor, I haven't even seen that photo before tonight.
This?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even put that one. Hold on a minute.
Did you not put it in
the presentation?
Oh,
it's
dude,
up
that
there.
wasn't even in the presentation.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wait, I didn't even see this neck.
This was the last shot I took. Did I not put it up on Drop? No, it's up on Dropbox. Yeah, it's up there. Anyway, it was the last shot I took because
yeah, that makes sense.
reasons.
Yeah, I totally did not even see that was up there. So I'll have to add that one.
Very cool.
And then our main boy here, it's your boy.
Yeah. It's your boy.
I tell you that belt piece, like I picked it up out of the box and his torso kind of went backwards and I grabbed it. I didn't even. It just snapped. It just fell off, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me, man! Right out of the box, come on, that's crazy." So I repaired that like 6 times. But here's more cosmic reuse right here with the
real quick on that bear. Was that the same saddle and tack as the Bodvar?
It is, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if maybe there were some different attachments or something. So
no, that's the same stuff. The head is all that's new on that.
Okay.
Trevor, what did you say about cosmic?
Yeah, what were you saying about?
These are the cosmic
Fragnars.
Fragnars.
Ragnar's
bracers.
Oh, okay. Right.
But, and as Jeremy pointed out before I got this, they come with chains now. Okay, so
we learned our lesson.
Very cool. I love that torso armor, like being sliced the way that it is.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It's really asymmetric and really cool. Like the back kind of comes together. In fact, one point, Jeremy, we were trying to figure out whether the way it was the way it was supposed to be, with like one of the chains going around the back, the other one hanging down. We thought maybe it had broken off, but that's the way it's just very asymmetrical and very, very cool, man. Yeah.
So is that upper torso armor removable?
It is.
That part? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you said everything except for the waist and the lower leg, right?
Yeah, so it's like, a regular Ogre scale figure.
Really
like you can't remove the waist part. I mean, you can, but it's going to have
without it looking weird. You could put some fur around that, though. You know what I mean? Like you could fake that up.
I have ideas already.
Swap it for another.
That Varg head.
Someone has ideas.
But the lower leg armor, like the bracers on the arms are slip-on pieces. The lower leg armor is not a slip-on piece. So that is the lower leg.
Right.
And as I said during the live stream, this was a conversation that we had about this character. We've known we wanted to do a werewolf for years. When Eric was sculpting Leodicius, we knew we were using those parts for a werewolf. So this was planned well over a year ago. In the meantime, there have been a number of other companies that have put out werewolf figures. So, we are in that position where we're like, okay, well, we want to bring something new to the table. We don't want to just say, no, we're not going to do it because somebody else did it. Dude, there's only so many ideas out there. There's going to be some repetition. But we ask ourselves, what can we do differently? And a lot of the other companies went out with like bear werewolves, bear fur werewolves. And that's a super cool look. And we absolutely want to get to that eventually. But for our first one, so we could make this feel more like a mythic character, we wanted to armor it up. So while there's a lot of it that comes off, it's not, the ability isn't there to make it a fully unarmored wolf.
So, question here, and I don't know how much. I know you said there's still some story to this, and I don't know how much you can tell us. It says, Jeremy, please tell us he was captured and somebody put the armor on him. Is there anything that you can tell us about this armor or how he came to be armored?
Someone did put armor on him. Someone did capture him. They're not necessarily the same group of characters that did those two things.
And is this race of character that he is, are they knowledgeable? Can they speak? Are they just creatures?
They are sentient characters. So they are not sentient characters. They are not just monsters. These are characters that we're going to learn more about. There's going to be a deeper story for this race and for this particular character and what he's been through to lead him to this ravaging of Einsamall.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
The head sculpts on these are fantastic.
Yeah,
I think they're iconic werewolf heads. They're just perfect to me.
That's easily the best werewolf head sculpt I've seen.
Yeah.
And this man knows his werewolf skull.
Right.
Yeah. They all fell over, so I just have these two now, but I had them all stacked up before.
Yeah, dude. Come on. It's Eric Treadaway sculpting a monster. That is you do not get any better than Eric sculpting monsters.
No.
Agreed.
Jeremy, the first conversation we ever had was about werewolves.
What?
At Shout the Curiosity in 23.
That's great.
Adam Power says giant powered up Balam using this body would be amazing. So never know.
I just bigger than Balam, but
Yeah. We got a $5 super chat from Raziel. In the accessories photo for Igraine, there's a small copper piece next to her second head. What is that?
So we talked about this earlier. It's a little piece of decoration that, almost like a brooch or something that you can plug into that fur collar. It's the same piece. If you look at the photos that Trevor took of the dwarf 2-pack from the Rising Suns wave, the little decoration that the female dwarf has on her fur collar, it's exactly the same part.
Yeah, I'll try to bring that up.
William says, between this, Rising Suns, and Reign of the Beast, the future looks wild.
I was just thinking, I can't wait to take out an adventuring party with this bad boy.
Right. And then Terrence asks if this will be this wave will be self-contained, or will this story be ongoing into a second wave?
This story is self-contained, so there is an end to this particular story, Horror of Einsamall. But as we said at the start of the reveal special, this is kind of banging on the door of the next story arc. So some of the things we're seeing, some of the ideas we're seeing here, not that we're going in a super horror direction. This was meant to be a little bit of a kind of like a pocket episode, I guess is what they call it. But it is self-contained. It's not continuing. This is going to end, but it's going to not necessarily maybe some of the characters, but this story is going to lead us nicely into what's to come.
So
Rosedale. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Can I tack onto that question a little bit, Jeremy? So I display everything by faction, my entire Mythic Legions collection.
Yep.
And this is a new faction. Will this faction possibly be expanded on down the line, or is this kind of a self-contained one shelf?
So this particular character, Garmer, is not part of we haven't said what faction this character is part of. Mm-hmm. In the reveal special, we did not show this character with a faction logo because we haven't revealed where this character is from. The other characters that are from the Unsworn Northfolk, that we're going to learn more about that group, but they're less of a faction and they're more just of it's kind of like in Cosmerium, we have the unaffiliated, citizens of Cosmerium. They're characters that aren't, they just live in their life. They're not part of any specific group. What we're going to find about the Unsworn Northfolk, it's a group of characters that basically migrated to the far north after that first Great War, and they've created a life for themselves up there. So we absolutely could see them in the future again, but they're not going to be necessarily one of our major faction players in the future. Actually, as we go into the second arc, factions are going to take on a very different kind of meaning for the story.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'll wait while I get bigoted. Jeremy, does that mean that you have just introduced townfolk?
You're bigoted.
Yes. Yes, there are townfolks. There's an innkeeper. So for everyone that wanted an innkeeper, there's an innkeeper in this. And I guess the tracker, I guess he could be a townfolk type person as well, right?
Can't everyone be a townfolk? Anyone could live in a town.
They're in a town.
A knight could live in a town.
I'm just saying. Jeremy's asked before, who wants townfolk?
He would. A nice little apron for him would be cool, though. I would take that for sure.
I believe, Bill, you were going to address this one. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it got me thinking about that belt there. So Vampire Lore says werewolves maybe Alithia's brood captured this werewolf, and the belt has what looks like Varg's head on it, which is a vampire, like a vampiric imp or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So I found that interesting. I'm sure Jeremy probably can't reveal much on that, but I just thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. He just nods.
He just get a head nod.
Gluten Freestyle says a dragon could be a townfolk. There you go.
Could be.
Good.
I also want to say
recycle center. Yeah.
By the way, I'm calling Curtis the mayor from now on. You're the mayor, dude.
Mayor.
I'm not calling you that.
That's Toy Chase's title.
Hey, Jeremy, I want to say thanks. I really felt on this reveal, I felt like you were taking me on an adventure. I thought it was really neat how you did that.
Yeah.
Not only was it cool to reveal these phenomenal figures as they always are, but it was almost like I was in the world that you were painting, the Four Horsemen were bringing to us. I felt like I was kind of on the journey with these characters too, and getting to know them. So they feel like they really stuck with me a lot better than some of the other reveals, even though I love all the figures.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was going to say, telling stories through the medium of action figures is really challenging. And I've said this many, many times when people say like, oh, are these from a comic book or a movie or whatever? And, we have aspirations to do all those things. But for us, when you're going to tell stories, you tell it the way you know how. And because, we're toy manufacturers, that's how we tell the story. But, the nature of having to tell the story at the same time that we need to reveal a wave of figures so you can pre-order it, it provides some challenges. And it's something we continue to experiment with. So I appreciate that comment that tonight narratively was very successful for you. That's exactly what we were hoping for. So thank you for that.
On Sunday on Shooting the Shelf, we had the Lair guys on, Brad and Mike, and we were talking about what we thought we might see and stuff. And we, Mike had brought up the adventure parties that you have done a few episodes of, where you've like taken groups from the different factions and you try to do like, a tall one and a short one and a female and a male and a monster and like you try to put all this together and then you tell a story. And so we were kind of discussing some of those past adventure parties that you've done. And this really felt like that. And you look at it and it looks like a group of, individuals you wouldn't normally see together. Right. So it just kind of had that same adventure party feel of what you've done in the past, which was awesome.
That's exactly what we wanted, Curtis. And one of the things that you'll notice, and I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, they're going to do a representative from every one of the factions. There's going to be a Basilia and an Aetheron and everything. And, early on, we decided, no, that's not what we want to do, because we want to show new things and we don't want to just show you the factions. So that's why the story, it puts these heroes from the Castle of Four Sides there, but it very quickly gets rid of most of them. It very quickly kills one and sends the others away. So we have two representatives and we can open up those slots for these other characters. But part of what I tried to do with the story is, okay, the orc is a bad guy. The polar bear's a bad guy. But when the final, monster is revealed, I'm imagining this scene where all of them are lined up, like ready to face this character. So that variety of the male Viking, the female knight, the two little characters, the polar bear, the orc, like you're right, Curtis, that's a really interesting varied array of characters, and that's exactly the goal that we were going for with this little kind of party that comes together by necessity to face this incredible threat.
Does Curtis die first?
So you crack me up.
So he's an hors d'oeuvre before the fight starts.
So I'll tell you a little, not a spoiler, but I'll tell you a little part of the story that wasn't in the narrative that I said is, when they come out of the inn and they see the wolf fighting with the polar bear and throws the polar bear aside, they're like, what are we going to do here? And the bio mentions that a carefully thrown torch ignites the wolf's fur for a moment, and it gives them that few minutes to barricade themselves in the inn. Well, Igraine comes with a torch, so that was written very specifically. But what ignites the fur is actually the gnome comes out with some alcohol and throws it at the wolf, drenching him. And so when he throws that, and he's like, throw the torch. So she throws the torch, and that's what ignites him. So that little guy, that innkeeper, he's thinking. He saves the mayor once again.
So you said this was a self-contained wave. So as far as the rest of this story, when do we get that?
So when does Burris become the mayor of the Castle of Four Sides?
Basically, yeah.
His campaign.
Yeah.
This is opening us up to a larger world. Einsamall is technically part of the mythos that we know, but it's so on the edge that we're discovering things like the Vulpine character in Byler that to them, they're like, yeah, we know this character. They don't even realize that outside of that little area, nobody in mythos has ever seen this race. It's because it doesn't come from the mythos we know. But they're so far removed that that information is not like available to them. When I wrote Einsamall, I was thinking about, has anyone here ever seen the movie 30 Days of Night or read the comic book?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's one of my
that idea of a place that is so isolated that when the sun goes down and the winter rolls in, you are on your own. That is what Einsamall is. Einsamall is so incredibly remote that these people have had to basically depend on themselves and their neighbors for survival because nobody else is coming. So that was part of this horror story, is that you are so remote. Even though we do have some characters that come to help, you're not just calling, your neighbors next door to come over from another kingdom. You are in your own little pocket. You have to survive. You have to take care of yourself while there's this unspeakable nightmare that is attacking. And, this is going to open up the doors to other strange things that we're going to see starting to enter mythos.
Yeah, that's saying too.
Another question for you, Jeremy, because I know in the past, I don't want to say that mythos has been, G-rated, but it definitely hasn't been the kind of gore and, the kind of vibe that we're getting from this wave. I mean, you start off with this, picture leading into this wave and this sign with blood dripping off of it and stuff. Like, that's not something that we would typically see in the past from mythos. So can you tell us a little bit about the thought process that went into getting a little bit more, kind of scary, a little bit more of the horror genre and stuff like that?
We've always said that our level of acceptable violence is like MCU. Like, that's kind of the mark that we use. So taking that as an example, there are times where the MCU starts to push the envelope a little bit. That is what this particular wave was for us. It doesn't mean that we're abandoning any of the mentality that got us here or the way that we want to present this, but it also shows that we're willing to push on those boundaries a little bit to see what we can do that's still going to be within our acceptable realm. At the end of the day, this is a PG-13 horror movie. If we were making this into a horror movie, I've seen some really cool horror movies that are, they don't fall into that full crazy on our gore, but they're still incredibly suspenseful, incredibly it's got that sense of dread and everything. And there is certainly some blood. So that was the thought here, is how much can we push without betraying what we've created for Mythic Legions?
Very cool.
Like it.
All four.
Oh, yeah.
All in.
Bill, any other questions or thoughts that you have? You usually have some good ones.
No, I mean, I'm just pretty blown away by the imp scale. Like that's super cool. And I'm just very happy to see it. I've been wanting halflings forever, and this kind of opens that door right up. And so, yeah, that Burris figure that might be my favorite of the wave, honestly. Super cool stuff.
He's great.
Yeah. So Jeremy, the name of the scale, is that any kind of indication of something that could possibly maybe be coming in the future?
Read what you will.
What's in the name? I mean, we just have to pick a name.
Now, a rose is a rose is a rose.
I mean, we got a meatball scale, but we didn't get a meatball.
I mean,
Right.
Good point. Good point.
Yet.
So the reality is we were going to call it gnome scale, but we knew that would literally make Curtis's head just explode. And we just love him too much to give him that much excitement. So we came up with M scale.
Gotcha. I know, both of those two figures, the two M scale figures, because they're prototypes, we're probably not going to be able to see popping and swapping between the two. Do you think that we might be able to see any sort of digibatching kind of pop and swap things, or is that something that maybe we would have to lean on the community to try to do some photoshopping?
Yeah, I mean, we might be able to try some of that stuff, see what Joe can put together. I mean, certainly the heads are the easiest thing. We can swap some of those and stuff, maybe even like the feet and everything. Like I said, the big question right now is going to be whether or not those arms and pauldrons and everything are going to be 2.0 compatible. That is the goal. That is what we're working towards. But because we don't definitively know the answer is yes, we don't want to guarantee that. But that's what we're hoping for. And certainly in the coming weeks, we'll try to get some different pop and swap examples. In lieu of that, like you said, maybe some digibashes.
So the hope is to be able to get them to swap with some other already existing figures, but most assuredly they will be able to swap with one another. Correct?
There is no doubt they will swap with each other.
Okay.
Like Imp Scale will absolutely be able to swap within itself. And there's other imp parts that we haven't shown in this particular wave yet. So this is going to be a new scale going forward. But just like Brute Scale is something that we're starting to build, and we've got more Brute stuff coming as well. Brute is also compatible with 1.0. But when we launched Brute, we didn't say that. We didn't say, Brute is compatible with 1.0 because we didn't know it was going to be compatible with 1.0.
Right.
This is exactly the same thing here. The goal is it will match with 2.0. Can't guarantee that yet, but we can guarantee Imp will work with Imp because that's part of what Legions is built on. This is a new scale, like 1.0, like 2.0.
Raziel, $5 super chat again. Ideas for photos for Joe Vasopolo. Show the Fox Knight holding every size sword in the line so far, especially the dwarf short sword. So,
hey, nobody got time for that, Raziel. Sorry, man.
I did want to see it holding that obsidian sword.
Yeah, do you have that picture that you can show with that sword again, Trevor? That obsidian sword? Because I don't think
I have the shop up now. If you want to see this shot or just the picture.
Yeah, whatever with the sword. Because that sword was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like like a onyx or obsidian. It's really, really nice.
Yeah,
it's been a while since we've got
somebody in the chat referenced Dark Sun, and that was awesome because a lot of the weapons in the Dark Sun campaign setting for D&D were made out of obsidian and bone.
Right.
So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
You
It
know,
really,
that's
really
about-
looks like obsidian too. It's really cool.
Well, and because of the sculpt of it, it's super cool as obsidian, but I mean, you paint that differently and it's just going to look like stone. It could look like, pitted metal and everything. So there's going to be certainly some versatility. And, not for nothing, we've heard the comments of, guys, you need to invest in Ogre scale. You need some new armor. You need some new weapons. 100% we agree. That was one of the reasons why in this particular figure we were like, we've got to give the character a brand new weapon. We can't give it a Rakagor sword. We can't give it Kurzog's mace. Something brand new.
Well, it looks awesome.
Yeah,
that was cool.
To piggyback off of something Bill said earlier with this release here really gives like a silhouette sitting on the shelf so much diversity. I think it's just really neat to see as the Legions line develops, seeing the different characters and the size ratios of these figures stay true to form or true to what we know they are, and to give the line such a diversity sitting on your shelf or within your pictures or whatever you're doing with them. So I think that's really neat.
One thing I love about this wave, Joe, you were talking about how you display your stuff by factions, and I do as well. I'm now faction display. But this particular wave could be displayed by itself on a Detolf shelf. You could probably fit, I mean, it'd be tight with that bear, but you could fit all of these characters and it would just be a nice little contained shelf for this particular short story.
Right.
The Einsamall story. Yep.
I do that kind of like my Armory Knights are all on their own shelf. I have all of them together. So there are certain groups that kind of don't fit in with the factions that I just put on their own. So it's good to know. If this faction was going to expand, I probably would buy a new set of shelves and start getting ready because I overdo everything. So yeah,
gotta expand now.
The unsworn Northfolk will not have the kind of like line prevalence that the factions that we've met so far have.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe wants to know how much money he should be spending at IKEA. So if you could let him know that.
I'm always looking for an excuse.
Yeah, he's preparing his IKEA budget for next year, and he just wants to know whether it's a shelf, is it a bookcase,
it's like a whole Billy, or what do we got?
Yeah,
It's a heavy-duty shelf.
It's a new room.
New location. Is he moving?
Right. You never know.
Carver Custom says this story would be perfect for the RPG coming out, like an add-on adventure. So, you know, as people were kind of predicting stuff for this wave, and they were talking, there was a lot of talk about Adventure Party and stuff. There were several folks that were saying, "Hey, this could be a nice tie-in to the RPG game." The fact that you're bringing these people that may not normally interact with each other together for a common goal, kind of thing. Was there thought along those lines with kind of, you know, some sort of story tie-in with that?
There wasn't, only because we've got that already baked. Like that plan is already in place. So these were two separate things. I love that thinking of, hey, this could have tied into that, and in that process of, hey, this little adventure party of characters. Yes, I agree that could have worked. In this particular case, that just wasn't the plan because there was a different plan.
But folks that are out there, if you want to start thinking about that kind of thing and adventure parties and who you would like to do an adventure party with, that's good line of thinking. So,
and for those people who are waiting for information on Mythic Legions, the role-playing game, you don't have much longer to wait for some information. There's going to be, we are in the second half of 2025, and it is going to get absolutely intense.
Great.
We've got so much information that we are going to be dropping on you, along with some cool toys. So get ready.
Hell yeah.
Another $5 super chat, all going towards the Legion's Lounge. Raziel here says, my last chat was mostly a joke, but imagine him holding a claymore. I wouldn't want a fox creature coming at me with a claymore.
You can use it as a pole vault.
Yeah.
Just kick you in the face with this one. Yeah.
Jeremy,
yeah, this would be a great story for our for D&D, but now you know the end. So
yeah, there you go. Jeremy, a week ago, I happened to be on your show with you, and there was a comment in the chat that said something to the effect of that they felt like Mythic was kind of taking a back seat this year.
Yeah.
Anything that you would like to say about that comment now, a week later?
I mean, I said it's a fair comment because outside of the dragon sucked all the air out of the room, right? When you're going to drop a dragon like that, I mean, literally, if you look at the other stuff we did in the first 6 months of the year, it was a lot of really little things. Okay. It was the Book in the Night. It was Cosmic Head Packs. It was a 2-figure Infinite Wave. Like, we intentionally had to surround the dragon with a lot of smaller offerings. Now that we're in the second half, a lot of the things that we held back are going to free up that we can do. So when that comment came in, I absolutely said, like, you know, buckle up. Mythic is going to get a lot of attention in the second half of the year. And I clearly knew that we were starting the second half of the year. One day later, July 2nd, we're going to be revealing this new wave with all this new stuff. That was on a Wednesday, Curtis, and I think 2 days later on the Friday, I dropped that sign of Einsamall with blood dripping from it.
Absolutely. And you did a teaser Wednesday night at the end of the credits. And the next day, I was waiting for everybody to be talking about it.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
And no, there was nothing. Like it's, I don't know. People just hear your music start.
We
and
were
they
talking about it in the Dorklair Discord for sure.
They didn't stay for the post-credit scenes.
That's not.
I want to say also that like there's already been 23 Mythic Legions figures released this year. There's been 11 Necronominus figures, 11 All-Stars, or All-Stars 6. Is that what it is? Yeah. And then the Barbarian. Plus, you already said that by the end of the year, Rising Suns is going to release. That's another 12 figures. So that's 35 Mythic Legions figures, plus potentially more. I mean, you'll have the 2 figures for Legions Con that we already know of. That's 37. So already we know of 37 that are going to actually be in our hands this year.
There's more.
Probably more. Yeah, exactly.
There's more than that. There's more than that. So there's a chance that Ashes of Agmendor will also be in hand by the end of the year.
Yeah.
If it's not in hand by the end of the year, it'll probably be very early next year. But there's also some other stuff beyond Ashes as well. Yeah, without a doubt, this is going to be a big year for in-hand Mythic Legions figures, dude, and Cosmic. Like, there's going to be some in-hand Cosmic this year, absolutely as well.
Well, and we talked about it last week, but I mean, Necronominus and All-Star 6 really amped it up in terms of the coolness factor and the amount of stuff that you're getting with these things. And then from that point on, it doesn't stop. Like each wave, they're just getting cooler and cooler, and like the soft goods, the accessories, the extra things that you're getting with them. Yeah, I mean, the next few years are going to be fantastic.
Well, I mean, to get Necro, AS6, and Rising Suns in hand in one calendar year is going to be just an embarrassment of riches.
I don't know how the hell I'm going to do my list at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough
list.
Tough 5.
How about the shelves? I don't know what I'm going to do with the shelves.
The top 10 is going to be rough.
I didn't like the top. You're going to do like the top 50.
Oh, that's going to be
sure.
Anybody wants a roommate?
Well, and another thing is that I was surprised by that all-in price, right? Because you're less than $400 with a bear and an ogre and multiple other figures with a lot going on. Like that was a really good all-in price, in my opinion.
Curtis, you already got your figure. You can stop now.
I know.
Like my nose is getting browner every minute.
Look, I mean,
plus you look really good tonight, Jeremy. I'm just saying,
what?
He did get a new haircut.
I said, plus you're looking really good tonight, Jeremy.
Yeah, that Four Horsemen shirt's really bringing out the muscles.
Look my best for Curtis. No, I mean, Curtis, it's not getting any cheaper to make toys. That's the reality, and we continue to add more and more stuff. Like we don't want to scale back. Like we want these figures to be the best value on the market. And, taking off my Four Horsemen hat for a minute and just talking as a toy fan, I don't think there's any other toy on the market right now giving you the value for the price that we're giving you. There's a lot of figures that give great value. There are some figures that are cheaper than ours that have great value. There are some figures that are more expensive than ours that have great value. But I really do believe that what we are putting out for the price we are putting it out is absolutely unprecedented in the toy market right now.
It's insane.
We want people to get these in hand. I always say that I want people to pay retail price and say, oh my God, this was worth every penny. So if you get the discount pre-order price, it's a mind-blowing value. That is the goal. That pre-order price that we have, the $375 all in, I say it all the time. We don't have shareholders that we have to squeeze every penny out of, our prices to appease. We don't have expensive licenses that we have to pay for that have to be accounted for. And we don't have a team of owners that want to maximize every single figure and every single sale. They absolutely care about the people that support this business, and they do what we can. We do what we can to keep the prices where they have to be. So, I've said it before. It absolutely sucks to drop your money up front and have to wait the better part of 2 years. That's why we offer the discounted price. That's why we offer options. If you don't want to spend, the money up front now, you're going to pay 30% more eventually down the road, whether you buy it from a retailer or whether you wait at a show. But at the end of the day, the prices that we charge, I really do think that they offer a great value. And I guarantee you, I can tell you unequivocally, they are the prices that we have to charge based on what we are paying. Because holy crap, do those soft goods and paint applications and all the accessories, they very much do add up.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I was going to say those. I mean, the paint apps, the accessories, and the soft goods. You compare that to even an import that even isn't a licensed import. I mean, you're going to pay $100 for a figure like that. You know what I mean? Like,
right?
Easily. You know what I mean? I bought them. So yeah, to get something with this kind of quality, especially the paint apps, like you said, like you can get cheaper figures, but comparatively they're going to look like cheaper figures.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that video that Valaverse put up the other day, that interview with Jim, and it was a great conversation between the two. And Vala is somebody that's putting out really great figures. I mean, at a really great price. Like he's consistently trying to offer them cheaper and cheaper. But one of the things that he said there was he hasn't had to do like a paint app reduction since he started his own line. And, that's something that obviously for years, Four Horsemen working for other companies, what the prototype looked like and what the final figure looked like were not always the same, because once it got into the business side, they had to reduce certain accessories or paint apps to get certain costs where they need to be. Mm-hmm. We don't ever do that. Like we literally, if we think a figure is going to be a certain price, and dude, like Sir Enoch, holy crap, did we underestimate how much that figure was going to cost. That figure should have been a deluxe figure all day. We put out a price. We made it a standard figure. When we got the pricing from the factory, we weren't like, oh, man, we have to cut back some deco. We have to cut back some soft goods. We literally went, oh, my bad. Next time we'll have to remember that and not cut ourselves as short as we did. That is the way we do things, is we don't want to compromise on the figures. We want to offer that great value. And I thought that conversation with Bobby was really interesting to hear him talk about that same mentality of not cutting back paint apps or not cutting back quality and still consistently pushing forward to get the best product out there.
I like how he pointed out that like if he has to eat the cost on one figure, he balances off later on.
Dude, we do that all the time where you'll have a figure that is going to be a little bit less, or tooling too, right? Hey, this is a lighter tooling figure, which allows us to put a heavier tooling figure, and at the end of the day, they all balance out.
Yeah. As somebody with double-digit Sir Enoch's on the way, I really appreciate that you make mistakes sometimes. Just throwing that out there. I did want to show this from Motu Guru, who commented on the Legions Lounge channel rather than the OffWorld channel. I really appreciate the smaller waves. As an avid collector, the big waves are hard to handle sometimes. So.
Yeah. And that's something we're trying to do more of. This a 7-figure wave, this particular one has an accessory set as well. That right now, with where everything is in the toy world, that feels like a comfortable amount of figures. You still get some nice variety. You still get the ability to put some different ideas out there, but it's not just overwhelming.
And if you double up, that's 14 figures.
There you go. You get 2. Yeah, Thomas Belay says all-ins are the best. Says give your future self some awesome gifts.
That's right.
I've been on the pre-order train for a few years now, and it's incredible. Yeah,
treat yourself.
Once you pay for it, it shows up. It's like
treat your future.
You got it for free.
Right.
It was a free wave. So yeah, past self bought that as a gift to current self. So.
Usually that guy's screwing you over somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice that he does something nice for every once in a while.
Yeah. It's the only reason you stay with him, you know?
Exactly.
So, guys, it is way past my bedtime, and I just got the message saying that it is time for me to go get the dog and bring him out. So I'm going to say goodnight, let you guys continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good night.
See you, Jeremy.
Cool.
Well, folks, I was not expecting to run this tonight.
Yeah, Chris got to go to bed.
But I got to go to bed too. So I think we're going to be wrapping this up. Jesse, if you're watching this tomorrow, hope that you're feeling better.
Yeah,
it will.
Yeah. Everybody, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving tons of money to Trevor's channel. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, we got no new subscribers, by the way, on OffWorld. Thank you.
0 subscribers, and Trevor got all the money.
Hey, listen, go over
Taking it that 430 subscribers.
Before you go to bed.
Thanks for this wonderful episode of OffWorld, where OffWorld benefited none, while Trevor benefited greatly.
Hey, listen, man, I got a whole show about legions, and it's like, you you guys gonna do an after show? Okay, we go. I guess I'll come on your after show instead of doing my own after show. So
anytime that you want to join us for an after party and collect off our backs, we are totally okay with that, Trevor.
You're not even monetized, so like,
I like to say that if you're already subscribed to the lounge, then come on over here and subscribe to OffWorld.
Absolutely.
Unless you haven't hit the bell yet on the lounge, in that case, hit the bell on the lounge. Okay.
Hit the bell. And come over here, hit subscribe, hit the bell.
And while you're on OffWorld, check out a Legions quest. It's a pretty good
best show on OffWorld, quite frankly.
D&D.
I am now a Legions quester.
Ooh.
Hell yes.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You have been quested.
You've been quested. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. It's an awesome wave. Go out there and get that all in. And there's a certain gnome character. You should definitely buy a bunch of those. So
put them everywhere. Put them everywhere. Put them in your fridge. Put them in your cupboard.
Yeah.
Put them in your bed. Put them in.
Buy a case of them. Give them out to all your friends so that that character can be in all their homes as well. Even if they don't collect, just like stick it like behind a flower pot or something so that it's
get one
there.
for each day of the week at least. And like put an M for Monday on it, and then
tell the Curtis figure to stick it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, folks. Well, Friday we will be back here on OffWorld. We will be showing our favorite figures from the first half of the year. If you join us, you will not be able to give any money to Trevor, though. So
you can, but
you can.
We won't be simulcasting it. So
unless Trevor joins us, and then
just Venmo me.
Just mail him checks. Just mail him checks.
Money orders in the Western Union.
We do have another $1.99 going to Trevor that says, "Congrats, Curtis."
You were in that $1.99 too, man.
Oh man, I expect a big kiss for Trevor at Legion. All right, folks. We will see you hopefully Friday. Have a good one.